Gonna be another hot one here in the Northeast. Well, I'll tell you what we had for you today, and we changed our mind. It'll probably be Monday's video. But I can show you. I can show you what it's up to, and then I'll explain it. Let me do that. You hold right on. You sit right there. Kyle Davidson's 372, you know, we're working on that. We had that part a week ago or so. He's got a really, I'm not going to try to get it where you actually see it. Well, maybe I will. He's got really kind of a nice cylinder there. Honestly. He really does. There's nothing wrong with that. Original Molly. Got a good saw. Well, we'd run the numbers week or so ago, and unusual numbers. It's like, boy, there ain't much I got to do with that friggin' exhaust, but the intake's horrendous. Tax for that. So I set it down, and I remapped it. I was right where I was, and there's just something wasn't right. You ever get that feeling that you better stop? I've tried 3 times to work on that saw. I said, uh-oh, I'm missing something. You know what it is? He bought the saw. Somebody put a piston in it for him. And I'll tell you what they did. They put a terrible piston in it. I could scratch it literally with my fingernail. If I had a little bit of grit on it, I could make a scratch. I mean, a noticeable scratch. And so I did the old fine file. But oh my goodness sakes, it just about as hard as a darn pop can. That was that. So I give old Kyle a call. He's a logger, tree guy, and I said, Kyle, I sound like a piston, man. Can we get an OEM one? He says, whatever you think, we just do her. I like building saws for people like you, Kyle. So we got this nice Molly. And I think that the best thing we can do to make this man a good, reliable saw, we build a lot of pretty serious hot saws. This man's trying to make a living. We're going in it with an OEM piston. We get them, you know, whatever they cost. But the saw is worth it. So I'll get that when I place an order. I'll get that in the morning coming. And I should have that by Monday. Hopefully Monday you'll see that saw video. I think tomorrow's is our Blue Thunders, what I think tomorrow's video is, unless something crazy happens. But I'll tell you what's happened since we've started doing this stuff on YouTube. I ain't worked on a darn one of my own saws. I haven't. What I've got right here is my original 66 Magnum. This is the first one I ever bought, actually. Yeah, you can see the line of the air cleaners. Probably there's body mounts that aren't good. I've got the mounts, but that ain't today's project. I don't want to get that deep. 7 or 8 years ago, I rebuilt this from stem to stern with OEM parts. And I honestly just put it back together. I think I've cut 2 or 3 face cord of wood with this. I think I bucked like 4 or 5 days. I bucked logs with it for another fella to help him out. And so I've run it. But all OEM, untouched, unported, no nothing. The one thing I did do, I swiped the muffler off of it for another saw, somebody else's. So what I'm going to do, we're going to put a muffler on this. And I'm cleaning all the darn thing. It's just filthy. I mean, this thing is filthy. And I'll visit with you while we're doing it. Yeah, I know that brake cleaner's bad for the paint. Well, there ain't hardly any paint left on the darn thing. At least get the grit out from under that muffler. If we have time, we might actually try to fire this whole girl up. Like I said, I ain't run this a long time. and they'll tell them what it's going to do. Might not run. Yeah, we did new bearings. We did new crank, new piston cylinder, everything in this saw is OEM. Everything. I value that. That's like with Kyle's. He had a nice enough saw there that it warranted, really did, getting an OEM piston with a nice OEM cylinder. If you got a shaky OEM cylinder, yeah, you know where that goes. You can get, a lot of times I'll put like a Meteor in the Meteor piston. Now that's interesting. Now I've got a muffler that a bolt don't want to fit through. Make sure I got the right bolts here, guys. Okay, that's what it is. You know, I'm going to tell you, I'm really getting blind for real. I'm damn near 60. I feel 70. I think that sometimes, as you get older, when your eyes get to a certain point, there's some days you don't do as good as you would. You know, as far as being able to see. Try to get my darn light readjusted without blinding you. That's half of it. I got cataracts. They're not to the point where I need surgery yet, but periodically I'll get this little fog. You can't look around them. No, you can't. I love that story of that man went to eye doctor because he's getting headaches and having all kinds of problems. And Jakers, Crapers, he come back from that eye doctor, so thinking happy you'd never believe it. And he walks in the house, and boy, he wearing a brand new suit. And his wife looked at him, my God, what have you done? I thought you were going to the doctor. What are you doing with a brand new suit? He says, I got cataracts, so I'm going to have cataracts, so I'm going to look the part. Okay, so he got his cataracts. You know, you guys already know that it isn't just saws that I do. I build a lot of crazy things, actually. In the past, especially. Old Barb, she'll be a testimony to that. I had a 78 Chevy short box pickup once. And this is where not being able to see is getting me in trouble. Well, it was, like I said, 78 short box. The motor was getting bad in it. I knew it when I bought it. I didn't care. I said, what the heck, you know? To make sure I got that gasket in there. I've had that thing happen to me before. Yeah, see, these really want to be a bugger. They really do. So anyway, we're up to camp cutting firewood. All Bass is 20 years ago anyway. So I'm cutting me a mess of firewood up to camp. Everything's going wrong. I dropped a tree. It hung up, and I dropped another tree, and it hung up. And so I get I cut them out of there. Do what I gotta do. And interesting as it was, we got that little truck loaded up. Now I put like 1.5 tall sideboards on a 6-foot box, and I had 4 inch left and 35s on this. But I built a motor for it, that automatic. I'll tell you what I built. I took a small block 400 Chevy, and I bored it 60 because it was already on 30 and wore out. So I went 60. Now I know you guys can say you can't do that, they'll run hot. Well, if you got a good straight true bore, you're alright. Well, you're taking a shot, so We bored it, and it worked out. I says, man. So I put a nice set of pretty serious heads on it. They were race heads, really. I can't remember the CC chambers. They had 202s. They're aluminum. And I put a tunnel ram, 2 4-barrels on that. Now, I'll tell you what it did. I wanted that tunnel ram to be under the hood. Now, this was just an old work truck, mind you. This ain't nothing fancy. This is just old fender flapper, you know. It was step side. We put a fleet side box on it. And hauled more wood that way. So, I lowered that motor down. Dropped that transfer case an inch so I could put that motor down about 2. We dropped that right down in them mounts, so that was low. They got some real thin air cleaner, great big one. And that kept me under the hood. That did. So I'm running this freaking oh, I tell you what else I did. I put a 350 cranking rods in it. So I got a D-stroke 400. Well, you remember them circle track motors, 377s, 378s, you build that way. Boy, they turn up quick, short stroke, big bore. Turn right up. They're like them 268, 272s. Turn right up, just tight. And, but, when you bore at 60, you get a 383 D-stroked. You got a real quick ripper. So we're up there, and it's getting about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And, I had cut a mess of wood up, so when I got done logging, I had a log job down the way. All I had to do was just pull in there and go the mile-long trip up the private drive to camp and load a load of wood, come home every night. And that'd be great. Good to go. And so we did that. Broke a brake line. Just like my day wasn't bad enough. We did get the barbecue at lunchtime, though. We did do that. The hamburgers, hot dogs, stuff like that. That's what we did. Did get the barbecue. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, okay, here's this truck loaded full of wood. I didn't have a cell phone. No way to get hold of anybody. I'm way in the middle of nowhere. What do? You back up and punt. Now, I want you to know the road at the time was real steep. You turned and went right down for about 150 yards, and then it turned a hard right. There's this big drop off. I mean, about 30-foot drop off in the woods. Well, that wouldn't have been too healthy. I says, Barb, I said, you don't mind walking out of here, do you? She says, you can't drive that truck with no brakes. I didn't have anything. I mean, nothing. I said, yes, I can, by God. So I'll tell you what I did. Now, I want you to think about this. It's like cutting your own hair in a mirror. I put that in reverse. I started down over that real steep bank. About 35-degree angle, 30 degrees, somewhere in there. It's steep. Well, to slow the truck up, you had to step on the gas because it's in reverse. It's flashing that converter. Yeah, I know, that's hard on that transmission. Back then, I didn't give a crap about nothing. I just go. Whatever it took to get a job done. So, you're used to the idea. No, there wasn't nothing on that brake pedal. So, I'm going down this steep, and I'm stepping on that gas to slow down. Brrr. Now, you stop and think, if that motor wasn't right and them carbs weren't exactly perfect, the timing and everything else with a tunnel ram, idling with a big cam down over there, if that coughed once, you know where I'd be. You got it right down over that bank. Like I said, I didn't care. I didn't even care. And I was a different person than I am now. And, I actually freaking made it, and I made it down around the corner. After that, it wasn't no big deal because you could it was 5-degree slope, 7-degree at the very most in spots. Well, I'll tell you what, Barb wasn't riding that last mile out of the woods to the blacktop with me. She said, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. So I went down through there slow, and she walked. She did. She didn't get mad. She knew I was doing what I felt like I had to do. We get down there toward the blacktop. Everything's dead level now. She gets in the truck. She says, is this safe? I said, well, we made it this far. And we did. So, laugh if you might. We make it home. Unload that truck. My brother pulls in next morning. He says, hey, he said, I heard something about you. I said, what you hear? He said, I heard you come down out of camp from up on top with no brakes. I said, I did. You stupid? I said, yep. Well, you know that old truck, it didn't get any worse mileage than a stock motor, even with everything I did to it, if you can believe it. It's the truth. Well, anyways, I says, you mind giving me a ride? The only other thing I had was I had a C-70 dump truck sitting right there at the time, because I had an Impala, 65 Impala Super Sport with 327, and man come along and offered me some money, and I told him it wasn't for sale. Well, he bought it, so I was down to one vehicle. I says, well, alright, if you want it that damn bad, you can have it. Well, I wish I had that car now, because that car was right, too. He had a red SS with black interior. Yeah, 327 turbo fire in it. Power glide. And an SS. That's funny, ain't it? I did build a power glide. Put a DCI converter in it. Cam went bad. I went with just a very mild hydraulic cam in that. And to tell you what I did do, I did put Edelbrock 3 2-barrel intake on that with 3 of them Rochesters. You remember them old 2-barrel Rochester carbs? I had 3 of them on that with little chrome, air cleaners. And it was a nice strong runner with that 3-deuce setup. Man, he still got that car. Every little while, I see that car go by. Now, like I said, that was 20 years ago. I see that car go by. I talked to him there once here last summer. I says, you had any trouble with that old car? He said, I ain't never had anything wrong. He said, I got 60, 70,000 miles on it in the last 20 years, which is amazing. He says, I haven't even as much as just changed the oil and did some brake work. He said, I knew none of that car. I said, I know I was done for selling it. So y'all sell it back to me. He says, there ain't no way. He said, I ain't selling that. He says, man, it'd have to be a fool to sell that car. He said, that's dependable. I said, yeah, I know. 20 years ago, things were different, weren't they? Okay, we got this muffler on. What do? We'll take this off and see if we can get it to light. I don't even know how old this gas is, but I'm going to try to start it. It's probably not going to like me. This one has got the slickest working selector for your choke and everything. You know what? I can be proud of myself with this one. Look at that filter. That's clean. The rest of the saw is filthy. I don't know why I let it get that bad, but it needs to be disassembled, is what it does. And I know I did it when I built it. And I know I'm going to put mounts in this, so we're good to go there. I got a little gas. Boy, that gas, I know that's going to be rough. I haven't started this, I don't even know how long. But we're just going to see what it does. I was just about ready to give up. I think it's going to go. I tell you one thing, that's running a little lean, so that's all I'm going to do with that for right this second. Can you believe that old girl lit up? Yeah, you hear them when they go whoom, 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 like that, they're floating. You're lean. You're lean. Geez, maybe I got a screwdriver right here. Maybe we can fix that. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Now, being lean, that could be a fuel filter. Could be anything, actually. Boy, that old rubber here, that's hard. I'm gonna pull it right out. I think I've actually got a new one of them. Yeah, I fix you guys' saws. I don't do my own. I actually would like to run this one some. I haven't run it in quite a while. Let's get this to what I think is a little more sane. See where we're at. One. Okay, we're at 1 and 1. One on the low, one full turnout on the low, one full turnout on the high. Let's just see. It is a good running saw, isn't it? Little tweaks like that help you. It just takes you a few minutes. I got about 15 of my own saws that need a little attention. I've got right down there, I only got 2 that I like to run of my own. I run you guys, so it's no big deal. When I bought this saw, and I run it, I liked it. It was reliable, always started, always did what it was supposed to, but it didn't scare nobody either. It didn't. It wasn't as strong as, but I got used to it. I just had lots of torque, but it didn't really, you couldn't tune it exactly. Where there was no sweet spot. There was no leaks, there was nothing wrong. Well, eventually, I took out bottom bearing, and that stopped me. So when I rebuilt this darn thing, went right back in it with OEM parts, no port work, there's none. And you wouldn't believe it. Right when I first started that saw jumped with a bar on it, right and jumped in my hands. And I run a tank gas through that. By God, that was broke in fair by the first tank gas. It was really coming alive. But I'm going to tell you what I noticed on that first tank of gas. It was way stronger than it ever was in its life. Now, isn't it funny? And I had the same parts, just brand new. But I kept that old cylinder piston. That's still good. And we're going to use that someday in something. I don't know what, but we're going to use it. So, I think this saw deserves to be cleaned up and used a little bit. I can tell you what that's from. One of my skidders was a C7D Treat Farmer. And they didn't have the best box in the head of your arch to put saws in. Well, if you tried to put your chain chokers went in there, and you put a saw on it, or if you tried to put 2 saws, the way you had to put them in there, the main line would hit that. Well, it ended up, and it broke. I didn't do it. It was somebody that worked for me at the time did it. He did that to 44 and this. And I think he did them within the same week. That kind of come out of his paycheck. Yeah, I told him he's lucky that's all happened. Like I said, I was a different person back then. I actually wasn't all that long ago. But you know, when I quit drinking and I woke up, oh, I'd work like crazy. Hungover, just worked like nuts. Never fazed me. But when I decided, you know, that's enough's enough, I can't tell you what to do. I still smoke a little. I like my cigars, what I like, but I'm out of them. I'll smoke a cigarette. After smoking a little cigar, I light a cigarette. It's like one little inhale goes, pfft, half of it's burnt. I was like, well, shit, that ain't good. So I woke up, started doing things a little different, and you know, things were much better for me around my family, especially. I didn't realize how much pressure I was putting on them, being the kind of person I was. Oh, it had me scared. I was wanting to make damn sure it wasn't the wrong thing. You guys see this window cleaner and you see me use spray bottles with chemicals. What it really, all it is Dawn dish liquid and water. That's all it is. Try to get a start on making this thing clean. I don't know how far I'm going to get, but we'll get a start on it. I got a bunch of saws that I gotta clean them. But I gotta get your saws done. You guys want your saws back. I want you to have them. Keep saying that, don't I? I'm gonna tell you what, this is pretty good deep greaser. But after I've got that water on, I've kind of scrubbed and tried to get crud. When you get plastic, see this plastic, there ain't nothing wrong with it. It's just weathered from the elements. I mean, I weathered from the elements. The hot sun, the cold winter, working in the rain and the snow. That's what it does. I'm not going to replace it. I do have some nice plastic from off a saw that Logger didn't own. You can always tell when the Logger owns one of these. They look just like this. They generally aren't in the shape this one's in, though. I can't wait to run this. This motor on this one, since I rebuilt it, it's always had a different ring to it than any of the others. It really has. You tell me why, I don't know. It doesn't sound the same. And you know, I'm glad I didn't port this. I really am. I've got an old 44. It's the second one. I sold my first one. Just an old steel 44 that I got it apart last year, and hopefully I can find everything. And I never did finish it up. So what I'm going to do, we're going to work together, you and I. When I got no more saws with other people here, I want 3 months to myself building these hot rods we got started. And we're going to send a few of them up to Buck and Billy, see what he thinks of them. Might even send that old 153. What do you think of that, Eric? What do you think about letting Buckin run that? I think he'd like running that when we get her done. We got to see how that turns out. We don't know for sure. Well, I'm going to tell you what. If you want to know the truth, guys, I'm a little embarrassed how dirty the saw actually is. But a lot of it is just grabbing it to go cut this block of tree out of the road, or grab it to get through this or do that. When I'm in production logging, my saws are clean every week. But when I'm not, that's when the trouble rolls in. They don't get what they should get, and that's my bad. Here I tell you guys, hey, keep your saws clean. I dragged this thing out of mothballs. I got a bolt missing. Well, we can't have that. Let's see what we can do about that. See, this is why you take these turn things apart. I probably got one right here somewhere. Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you, it's always a pleasure sharing this stuff with you. It really is. But I can see we're at 30 minutes, and this thing will shut off. So the adventure continues. Goodbye.